Hello friends, we are back with a new fan mod for the Sony a6300. Let's call it the Easter edition. Unlike the one that I made yesterday, which I partly made seriously, partly for fun, to see what the problem was and how we could solve it, that I ended up in something that I think was actually useful, in that I will keep it myself and put it in a small container and in my video bag just in case. I think there are now ways to solve it in a more passive way, which I will repeat here, but also again in the description on the Facebook group. In general, what seems to work for a lot of people is if you're using the a6300 and you want to record more than 20-25 minutes without the overheating warning. Again, that's more than Sony promises you that it will do. So if you want to record 4K more than 20 minutes, let's say 2 hours after 2 hours continuously, the best way to do it without a fan is to every half hour remove your battery and replace it with a new one or a cold one. So if you have 3 batteries and you rotate them, that's a good solution. Also, and I think this is something that I quite do often anyway, leave the battery door open and it's easier to flip in a new battery, and it also will let some heat out of the compartment, which seems to help. The second thing is put it in airplane mode. It will kill all the Wi-Fi signals and other stuff that you don't need. The third thing, which is an obvious one, is open up the LCD screen as far as you can to let out heat. The fourth thing is, what I found that helps for me, is to put it in a cage. By putting it in a cage, you actually make the area bigger, that it allows it to dispense heat. Because the a6300 is heat sink design, so that means the body is being used to get rid of the heat, and by making that bigger, it also means it seems to be easier for it to cool. So combining these few tricks, I have recorded up to 3 hours continuously using an a6300. It I think is, as far as I know, the most that anyone has done. So again, a long introduction before we show the real stuff. So yesterday I showed one which was could be used without a cage. Today I made one simply because I had the parts anyway. I ordered them out of much smaller fans, which turned out to be quite loud. So I'm not saying this is a perfect solution. Unlike the first solution, I won't probably keep this. But I try to make something in a different location to test if where actually the cooling down is best done, and also I put them on the cage. So let me show you. So this is the design we ended up with, and as you can see, let me put it into the picture, you don't see the fans, which is cool. What you do see is that it's now in my rig, in a small rig. In this case, the small rig 6300 one. Now the construction is already falling apart. But what you see, what I did is, in this case, I used very small fans, which are these small flat design fans. So the opening is here. The sucking part basically is behind this. I put tape over this to close up this part, which is not what you're supposed to be doing, but that means that air will be sucked here and it will blow over this part, which in my opinion is becoming the hottest on the camera. So I'm wondering if this is the best part to cool down. Now the second place where I put it is, you can see the opening here of the little fan is below here, so it's actually sucking air from below and blowing it out this way, and this way it's blowing it out this way. They stick out a tiny bit. I'm not saying this will ever be a serious solution, but I could have cut these fans a little bit like this, and I think they will actually fit quite well in both this and this location. Now that doesn't mean that this is a good solution. What it does tell me, if this works, and again I'm making this video before I actually test it. For the same reasons as yesterday, I don't want to make something without any use. So I'm making at least one YouTube video to have some fun with it. I could imagine that if this also works, which, like I said, I don't know yet, then I could see some manufacturer making this into a cage. Now, I think it will be very unlikely that it will happen, but you never know. And I can imagine that if need be, and this becomes a very popular camera, then I could see a case maker building some extra cooling ribs, a small fan or a cooling element into the cage. So maybe this small research does have its uses, because I can imagine it might work. Now I have a weird problem, because I don't want to use batteries all the time, because I don't think there's a difference between batteries, replacing them all the time, and an external power plug. So I'm actually going to get my power plug, so hold on for a second, because I forgot to do that part and I don't want to record it again. So this bad preparation actually proves that I'm really bad at making videos, which is not my job, so that's good. So I got the plug. Hopefully it still works and doesn't blow up, because I also took that apart to see, well, which is actually a good story. I also looked at these connectors, and I actually found that I could almost get a fan in here. So it would have been part of the design of the battery. I don't think it's a good idea, because that would mean we would suck air through the camera itself. And I just have a bad feeling about that, to be fair. So I'm happy that I didn't, well, I couldn't really fit it completely, so I decided to abandon that idea, at least for testing. And I also don't think it's a very good idea to begin with. The only problem is I don't think I've tested this, so hopefully it still works. And it doesn't blow up my camera. Well, it's still powering up, so I guess it didn't blow up the camera. So it's happy, it's running in NTSC and it's complaining again. So yeah, that's all the preparation week. Oh yeah, of course I need to turn it on. Now the bad thing about these fans is, again, I'm running them in series. They make a lot of noise compared to the other ones, so that means that not that the idea is totally bad, but the fans I bought are not the nicest one. Again, I put them in series, so they are both running at 2.5 volts, and also they don't want to always boot up, so I might have to restart it twice. Well, now they do start up, and you can clearly let me check if air is coming out of both of them. And I think that, it is. I'm pretty sure it is. So let's start it up and see if this test works. So proof that it's running. And yeah, and again I will tell you in the description if this weird contraption has the same effect that we can now run it for, let's say, at least 2 hours, and it will be fine. So see you later. And have fun in discussing and laughing about this one again. So thank you. Oops.